Welcome to the Chancellor's video blog. I'm Dr. Bruce Leslie, Chancellor of the Alamo Colleges. I'm really glad that you're watching this video. I get really nice feedback from people across the community who receive this blog. And we welcome your feedback. You can, on the YouTube channel, write your comments back with any suggestions on items you'd like us to cover or ways to improve this blog. This is our faculty back week. We had our convocation overall yesterday and this morning over at San Antonio College. So we're back in the fall semester. Summer is essentially officially over for us. So we've got a great year ahead, a lot of initiatives coming to fruition. But I had a request to kind of give an update over the next several weeks about different projects that we've been involved in. So the first one I want to talk about is what we call Alamo Advise. We began about 4 years ago a community-wide process of rethinking the model that we use to help students understand why they're here, what their purpose is, what the proper program of study should be, what courses they need to take. And not just once in the beginning or in the beginning of each semester, but as an ongoing process of case management as opposed to a counseling model where students would just drop in on their own, but one where the advisors are charged to continuously be in contact with the student so that students meet specific milestones as they make their way through their journey for their certificate or associate degree and then on for employment or baccalaureate degree and then employment. We hired over 100 new advisors a couple of years ago. All of them have been trained and certified in a program that we use. These are real professionals who are here 12 months a year rather than the old model where faculty were here for 9 months. And there really wasn't that much help over the summer, which is often the critical time when students are preparing for the fall semester. We've added orientation programs. We've added EDUC 1300 as a freshman course for students to take to help them to be more successful in college. But the real key is that personal interaction between the advisor and the student. And today, we've now reached a point where every student is assigned a particular advisor. When we started this program, as I say, about 4 years ago, our ratio of counselors to students and advisors was almost 1,000 to 1. So it was very, very difficult for a student or an advisor or counselor for that matter to have the kind of time and interaction with the student that is really critical. We're now down to 351, which was our target. Say we hired over 100 new individuals, trained them and organized a system and a mechanism here so that we have these milestones where students have to check in on a regular basis or they're called by their advisor. Students have to complete certain specifics like declare their intent by the 15th hour, declare the university of choice for transfer by the 30th hour. By the 45th hour there is a reaffirmation of progress towards achieving their degree. And then, of course, completion at 60 hours. So we've made really, really fine progress here. We've got a wonderful team of advisors. We've now had several presentations to the board of advisors and students sharing their story of how effective this model is. And one of the outcomes, and it's not the only tool that we use certainly, but one of the outcomes has been our graduation numbers have increased. From when we started this, it was about 6,000 students to over 12,000 students, and we're on our way to 13,000 students this year. So we've had really, really fine impact, and it's really benefited our students enormously. So we're very proud of Alamo Advise. In fact, we've received national recognition and attention for this program, and we get calls and visits quite frequently, people wanting to know, what are you doing at Alamo Colleges that's making such a difference here? We also, a couple of years ago, began to rethink how faculty become involved in the non-curricular activities of the institution. That's always a challenge, trying to figure out how faculty's voice can be heard, as well as our staff and student voices. We reorganized a few years ago. We created student government associations at each of our 5 colleges with a central Student Government Association. We have the same thing for our staff, and now with our faculty we've had what we call the Super Senate, which is the representatives from each of the college's faculty senates. But we now have set up the EFC, the Executive Faculty Council, Diana Torres-Lee is the chair of this organization. This is our second year into it, and their charge is to work with the administration and the board to help solve our challenges and to figure out new strategies to increase student success. And so we're very proud of how that's worked. One of the outcomes of that has been over the last 2 summers now, we've done a lot of training for faculty leaders around issues on leadership, communication skills, problem solving, crisis management, crucial conversations, those kinds of skill sets that frankly most academics don't have. And in order to be a leader today in a very complex, large organization that has got to constantly change to meet the demands of our society and our communities, we need leadership skills for everybody. We have a model here we call a leader in every chair, and this is one of our ways of helping faculty to serve in those leadership roles. So that's been very successful, and I really look forward to working with Diana this year. Lisa Black was the first chair of this group last year when we were forming it, and so Diana is now carrying that legacy forward. Finally, I'm very sad to inform you, some of you have become aware through the media, that Trustee Jim Reinfuss passed away last week. Jim served on this board since 1996, 21 years. He was well loved and highly regarded, particularly because he was a champion of students and a champion of the taxpayers. Jim was always very attentive to any strategy that we could develop that would help our students be successful and to do it at the lowest possible cost to the taxpayer. Jim was a strong voice. He was a consistent voice. Some years ago, when there was a scandal around the board here, Jim and a couple of his colleagues on the board brought in the Texas Rangers, literally, to clear up that mess and to put together a board that is highly moral, highly focused on students. And so Jim was a wonderful leader. He was active literally right until a few days before he passed. In fact, our board meeting last week, we had it streamed to Jim's home, where he was in hospice with Marie Reinfuss, his wife, and Jim's family. So right to the very end, he was engaged with the Alamo colleges. So if you would like to send a letter to Marie Reinfuss, you can send it to Sandra Mora, the board assistant here at the Alamo colleges, and she will pass those letters on to Marie. Thank you for joining the Chancellor's video blog. Look forward to talking to you next week.